Hi, welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
The following audio is via a Skype call.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail. Hey, everybody, welcome. It's so great to have you all tuning us in, turning us on. I love this today because we are here with Lynn Brown. Are you ready? We're ready to get into it. You ready to get into it and win at the game of life? Not almost win, or maybe win, or try to win. I like that. We use that try to win, try. We're going to try. And what is about the word try that absolutely doesn't engage us? And do we even know if there's something going on that's blocking us into get it? It's not even about get into it for Lynn. It's about how do we create this amazing full spectrum life. Today's show, it is a key time for humans to engage in full spectrum healing with Lynn M. Brown and me today. Yeah, full spectrum healing. What is it? How does it work? And what is it that Lynn has discovered? What is it that Lynn has discovered that literally opens up a door so that you can experience the full spectrum of joy, of love, of peace, of abundance, of health, and more? Today's show is about that. Now, for those of you that have not met Lynn yet, I will tell you that when you think about somebody's life and when you think about what kind of gets them going in one direction or another, usually you can see, especially for somebody that has a background in one area and then goes off in another, something has happened. Now, Lynn and I have talked about this, but today she's somebody here that knows how to work with people, how to help them by infusing them with the magic of soul, looks at the life from a full spectrum of possibilities, helps folks get through fears, have their gifts shine, looks at limitations that need to go, and to step forward in the true essence. How does she do this? She does this because she knows that it's a birthright. Now, for many of you, you may know her as somebody that is, understands the financial world because she is an expert in that arena. And so when you hear Lynn talk about wealth or money and full spectrum and the energy of this, or many of us know from the mouth of money, then you know you're talking with someone that is tapped in to the full spectrum of body, mind, and spirit. Today, get ready for hearing stories about the mental, the physical, and the spiritual aspects of our lives and what activating those means. No, it's not just for 1% of the population, it's for all of us. But also, Lynn's going to talk about what happens when we don't. It is time for humans to engage in full spectrum healing. Lynn, it's great to have you here. What a great show. Yeah. I got to ask you about this a little bit. It's full spectrum healing, but you're not just saying like the magic of it. You're saying to engage. What does that mean, to engage in it?
Well, I think a lot of times we spend too much time reading about stuff, contemplating about stuff, and we don't actually engage in it. And to me, if you're lacking the engagement part of it, it's like you're remaining at a two-legged stool, right? And we're inherently supposed to be a three-legged stool. So it's activating and engaging all three legs of that stool. and physically, we can imagine what that would be like
Right.
if we're only relying on our foundation of a two-legged stool. Some of us aren't even engaging in the two-legged stool. Some of us
Right.
are only engaging in the one-legged stool.
Right.
And one-legged stool isn't
Yeah.
very sturdy. So
Yeah, and then we wonder why we end up on the floor.
right, yeah,
Right.
yeah,
That's a balancing act, right?
and it's so critical right now. I see it through my healing lens. It's time we have to engage in it. Our planet depends on it. Our loved ones depend on it. We depend on it for ourselves. It's time to take action.
Lynn, we're hearing a lot about healing. We're hearing about it in the media. We're hearing a lot about loss. We're hearing a lot about both physical as well as emotional aspects of this. And I think it would be powerful for you to just chat with us for a minute at what the range of this is. When we're talking about, how healing can transform the mental, physical, and spiritual, some people, I got to tell you, it's daunting for people, right? To get through these layers of things. And I'm only talking about like the three-dimensional aspect.
Right.
I'm not even talking about like the stuff we can't see. So
Yeah.
I'd like to know from you, what is it that we need to discover about these layers?
Well, I think first and foremost is that we can acknowledge them. Let's just start there. Can we, as physical humans, take a minute and consider that there might be a mental layer of ourselves that we should be paying attention to? Like, it's like a jawbreaker to me. Like, you break up a jawbreaker and it's multi-layered. And that's the way I see us, is we're so, we'll just stick to the 3-dimension for now.
Yeah.
There's the mental, right? There's this layer, like, let's call the mental the yellow layer. And then there's the blue, which is the physical layer. And, there's this spiritual body, or the energetic body, which is the pink layer, right? And I think so many of us don't even know that. So that's the first step. It's like, just saying hello to those aspects, right? And then as we can move into, now here's the engagement. How do we engage in saying hello and addressing some of those things that are tainting or impacting our mental bodies, our spiritual bodies? What kind of energies are stored in those systems that continuously play out through our physical body and through our physical surroundings on the planet, right? It's all, to me, it's everything outside of ourselves is just a map, a blown up map of what's inside of ourselves. So I keep coming back to this, and I think this is just the first great starting point is, can people just consider that this is a reality? And then they can take the next step and take some ownership over it. Own that aspect of yourself. And then start becoming familiar. Yes, it is hard. And I don't discount that. It's hard to consider even thinking about some of these things, because for me, I see it even deeper. I see multidimensional. I see different layers of consciousness. So, but if we can start at the 3 basic layers, it's a great start. And again, it's reflected not only within ourselves, but on the planet as a whole. And you can see it, what's happening all over the planet, right? There's a lot of things, and you and I talk about this quite often. There's a lot of stuff going on right now, and it's so multifaceted. It's multi-layered. There's a mental change going on here and cleansing, and there's a physical, and there's a spiritual, and it's all interplaying.
Well, there absolutely is. And, one of the things you said is, I love this. You got to peel to heal. And what I mean by that is we're talking about the layers of things. Clearly, if anybody listened to the show last week, and, we continue to talk about this, is, the devastation of what happened in Orlando. and the healing that is so absolutely necessary. And, I'm watching some things that I don't usually pay attention to, Lynn. I had a gentleman on the show yesterday who is attempting to have his play in Seattle. And folks keep trying to censor him, and literally, I mean, I haven't seen this kind of thing since back in the 60s, right? And I said this to you before the show. There's another thing that happened in the Congress that I haven't seen since the 60s. So there's this contrast I wish you would talk about between healing, right? And peeling. And what I mean by that is there's a level of pain that calls attention to something. Now, we will either look at it from a healing point of view, or we're going to look at it from another point of view. Right. When we come back, Lynn's going to just blow this show right open here for a minute.
Can't wait to get started on this one.
I know. That's why I'm going to go to break, because it's like, are you ready for this, everybody? Yeah. Do you heal it? Or do you want to destroy it? Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Get into it for 2016. Do you want more prosperity, clarity, energy, and balance in your life? Join Lynn Brown now for one of her amazing workshops, each focusing on a key part of living your best life. For more information and to register for one of these amazing workshops, visit lynnbrownevent.com. That's lynnbrownevent.com. And get into it this 2016 with Lynn Brown.
On the cutting edge of the new mainstream, Christine Upchurch is passionate about bringing together science, psychology, and spirituality in a way that can be applied to our everyday lives for true transformation. The Christine Upchurch Show, stellar conversations to illuminate your journey, engages some of the most outstanding visionaries on the planet in lively dialogue to inspire you to become that bright light you're meant to be. Join Christine every Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Time on KKNW, AM 1150, and Transformation Talk Radio.
Almost everyone at some time in their lives ask themselves, what am I? Most of our questions are ego-generated and simply don't address the problem of our false self. It's time to relax your ego and embody your soul. Dr. Dan Cohen, neurologist, inventor, and author, has created tools to awaken a new way to transform from who you thought you were into what you truly are. Visit toolstoawaken.com today.
There are so many resources out there for meditation. But did you know that Atana's Heart Earth Healing Meditation is available for you for free? Yes, that's right. You can receive this free healing meditation today from Atana Badili. All you need to do is visit his website, atanamethod.com. That's ATAANA method.com, and sign up. You will receive your free meditation instantly. That's atanamethod.com.
What if your body and mind were the compasses to the secrets, mysteries, and magic of life? Glenna Rice, co-host of The Questionable Parent, is inviting you to access all that is possible. Glenna is a 10-year certified veteran access consciousness facilitator who offers an amazing variety of life-changing classes and workshops. Work with Glenna from anywhere, with teleclasses and workshops all over the globe. To learn more and see Glenna's current schedule of events, classes, and workshops, visit glennarice.com.
Francine Vale is a being of light. She believes that all people of planet Earth are as well. As co-host of the Angel Healer radio show, Francine teaches you heart-centered ways to manifest healing on your own behalf and how to integrate love more fully into your daily life. Connect with your angels as you find your life flowing with ease and harmony. Walk the path of light with Francine and Dr. Pat Basili every month on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Wow. I don't even know where to go with this today. That's why I got Lynn Brown on here. You know, when Lynn and I talked about doing some really cool things, and you know, I just love working with Lynn. Um, Neither one of us gets attached to exactly how it's going to look. That's what I love about this. Because if you get attached to something, then what happens is you're not going to allow spirit to come in. So today we're talking about, what does this mean, full spectrum healing? What does it mean? And you know, for me, it's like you got to peel, right? You got to feel, right? In order to heal. Now, Lynn, we were talking about some contrast, some layers, doing the sit-in in the Congress, Orlando, heartbreaking. I know you can help us make sense of this.
Yeah,
Please do.
Yeah. So, as a healer, I'm getting to observe these events happening around the world through a multifaceted lens. And I think it's a very unique perspective because I have a very unique role. And what's happening, first of all, at a high level on the planet is this ascension process, right? And I just like to call it, in layman's terms, like the rising of the temperature of our vibration, right? So as a planet's rising, the level of consciousness ultimately is rising, right? And so what's happening is there's this massive detox of stuff, of emotions, of pains, of dramas, of traumas, of inflictions, of bloodshed, of memories, you name it. That's having to be pulled, extracted off of the planet. Okay, so off of the planet includes off of all of the things that are participating on the planet as well. So now we go into our individual healing. We go into the individual detoxification of these things that live at the deepest levels in the multiple dimensions that we're participating in, the lower levels of consciousness, because these things cannot carry with us into those higher levels. So there are many things, I feel like, you know, the planet right now is like on the verge of anything, right? Like somebody could look at us wrong and we could blow up, or we could hit somebody, or there could be an explosion, or road rage. I mean, it's just everybody's living on the edge right now. And I don't think they know what to do with that. Well, from a healer's perspective, from my perspective, I'm not going to speak for all healers, but from my perspective, this is a cleansing. So in a way, I feel like these things are good. But I would hope that we could just peel the Band-Aid off really fast to reveal these things, right? Like you said, peel it and then acknowledge it and heal it. So yeah. So let these things surface or be released. Now, as a healer, I'm watching these things and I'm actively staying detached from the emotion. Okay, so I think a lot of us want to naturally engage in the gossip, in the talk, and then we get and then our energy gets sucked into that thing, right? Because we're frustrated with this action. We're frustrated with the pain that's happening. We're frustrated with the losses. We're frustrating with the people who have illnesses around because of what we're eating. So there's a lot of frustration and anger, and we want to. I think as a society, we're wanting this to change, right? But this is what we're doing versus how I actively heal it. What we're doing is we're engaging in that vibration with that person. So if a person's angry, we're going to join them in anger. If a person is stuck in a frantic state of fear because a building just exploded and there's death all around, people are going to watch that on TV, or they're going to join in that frantic fear. Okay, here's what I do. Here's my role as a healer. And there's many of us around the planet that know that this is their role. So I observe these things from a distance, and I actually send love. Okay, so I center myself, I ground myself, And I try to be the biggest conduit of source energy of this higher consciousness that I can be. Like when I say big, I mean big. And then when I get used to that, I stretch it even further, because these are the healing energies that are going to heal these systems. So what I don't mean is, and I know a lot of people struggle with this, where they go, well, Lynn, how can I love the person that just blew up that building? Right? Okay, this is good. That's a good question, because what I'm not saying is to call that person up and say, hey, I see that you just blew up that building. I just want to say I love you for doing that.
Right.
So
no,
it's not loving
not
the action,
that.
right? But here's the actual energy thing that I'm called to do. Is you say, I am sending you a care package of the vibration of love in spite of what you're doing, the action that you do. Why? Because that's the missing ingredient. It's the lack of the love and compassion ingrained in certain aspects of our bodies, our minds, and our emotions that even allow this person to act in this way, because they're obviously seeking something, right? There's uncomfort or discomfort within them that activates this explosion, this mental explosion, this physical explosion. It's really a cry out. Now we're all doing this in a way at different levels. Just some are acting out in ways that are just devastating for us all to watch. But if you can catch yourself in that moment and say, okay, look, I don't support that action, but I'm not going to join into that vibration because I know it actually doesn't help the healing process. What I can do is just bring more love and light into myself, stay grounded, stay centered, stay in my energy, in my path, and send the care package of love. And I actually do it in a violet energy. Sometimes it's just pink, but it's the intention, right? It's all about energetic intention. And they can eat that. They can drink that. They can soak in it. It telepathic. Now, this is happening on a different layer, right? So you don't literally put a box in the mail and send it to this. But it's hard, and I get
but
that that's
you can visualize
hard.
that.
Yes.
You can visualize that.
Yeah.
And
this is the real action of healing. Now I'm going to take it a step further because, like I said, there are teams of healers. There are people who are around the planet positioned knowing that this is their job. This is their role, to assist people while they're detoxing, to assist the planet while it's detoxing, to assist the systems on the planet, right? The financial systems are in an uproar right now. I don't know if you're paying attention to that, but since I'm in the financial industry and a healer on that platform, boy, there's some stuff going on there as well. So all these systems that just are not pure, are not transparent, they're getting kicked up. They're getting fired up. Now, how does that play out in the physical? I'm watching it for the first time just like everybody else. But energetically, I know we have teams of people, and everybody on the planet can engage in this with me. Daily, I'm sending violet flame through to the Congress, to our government, to and through our financial systems, to and through our corporate systems, to and through our food systems, to and through our waterway systems. Because what that's doing is that's the healing element, right? As much as we want to stand up and fight with rage or fight with fear or fight with reaction, that's really feeding into that vibration on that energy, on that energy plane. And if people could just even fathom if that could be true, right? Some people probably, they might not be able to process it right now, but you will, because this is what we're moving into. This is the reality, is that we are multidimensional. We are multifaceted. And my job, and ultimately everybody's job, is to go within themselves. So now, if somebody irritates me somehow, my job actually as a healer, and for all of us, should be to take a step back, just take a time out, call a time out on ourselves, halftime, TV time out, and not react. Now, it's hard. I know it's hard. But try to just go back into yourself and say, what aspect of myself is really calling out to be healed right now? And send love there, send forgiveness there, send gratitude there. Because what we don't realize is we have things popping up and acting out from past lives. We have things acting up to be released, to be addressed from different dimensions that we're participating in, right? And no wonder people can't figure out why they're getting so fired up and irritated. Well, we're being called as a planet to release so many of these past traumas and fears and pains. You know, that's why our body feels uncomfortable. It's saying we have to address this. This is a critical time for our planet. This is a critical time for all of us individually if we're going to move into the next level of consciousness. So,
when we talk about moving into the next level of consciousness, the biggest question that comes up, Lynn, is why do I want to bother? And that's really the question that, we'll address when we come back. Why do I want to bother moving into the next level of consciousness? And here's a bigger question to really ask ourselves. Am I really going to have a choice? Mm-hmm. Is the next level of consciousness here? And what happens when I'm not going to get in line with that? Full Spectrum Healing with Lynn Brown today. Great show. We're going to take a short break. What is it about the energy of consciousness and healing that happens when these two intersect? And what do I mean by that? Intersect in a way where we are open to the power of healing, and then intersect in a way when we're not. Lynn just laid the groundwork for this. When we come back, we're going to talk about this idea. Are we in the place to resist that next level of consciousness? Do we even have the ability to do that? Mm-hmm. That and much more. We'll be right back with Lynn.
I feel it in my fingers. I feel it in my toes.
Sky Siegel co-hosts one of today's most popular psychic shows, Angels and Answers, with Artie Hoffman, as she communicates healing messages from the spirit world. These messages can be astounding, enlightening, and life-changing. Born with the God-given talent of inner guidance and the amazing ability to heal, Sky has healed thousands of people. Schedule a reading with Sky now. Call 908-500-1474 and visit skyofangels.com.
Do you want to achieve your goals? Do you want to strengthen relationships with others? Do you want to improve your financial status? Colette Marie Steffen is partnering with Mark Kettenbach to bring you an energetic upgrade online experience. Unfold and develop your full potential. Visit energeticupgrade.com today for more information. That's energeticupgrade.com. Get ready to rid yourself of all that is weighing you down and holding you back from living the life you want for yourself. Coming Clean, The Art of Transparency with Catherine Moss is a hit show for women in recovery who are ready to live life on purpose. Tune in and let Catherine help you live your truth one day at a time. Live each Tuesday, 9 a.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
How would you like increased health and vitality? How would you like to avoid the onset of disease as well as slow the aging process? This is all possible through a simple, safe, and natural process. Every day we are either moving toward wellness or away from wellness.
Hi, I'm Mary Jane Mack. I'd like to be your partner in achieving optimal health. Contact me now at maryjanemack.com or call 425-392-0659. Visit maryjanemack.com.
Hi, this is Leslie Fontaine. When we become aware of a choice, it is not accidental. It is our opportunity to transform. It's about becoming our higher vibrational selves. We tend to get alarmed and hide our heads in the sand when something new shows up in our awareness. That's all right. But today, let's become aware of our desire, recognize the block, and make a choice to step through it. Often we want the circumstance to change before we change. See, it's the other way around. If you find resistance, maybe it's time for some support. If you're ready to shift into your best life, visit lesliefontaine.com and let's talk about unfolding all that you want to be, do, and have. You'll find sessions, classes, and audio products to help remove the blocks and move you into your potential. And listen to my show, Sheer Alchemy, on Transformation Talk Radio, Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern.
It's written on the wind. It's everywhere I go. So if you really love me, come on and let it show.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Lynn Brown in the house. Get into it, winning at the game of life. But more importantly, it is a key time for humans to engage in full spectrum healing. And we're talking about that. This is really from, I like to say, this is really from the heart and soul of Lynn Brown, this idea of full spectrum living. Today, we happen to be talking about full spectrum healing and how it can transform mental, physical, and spiritual aspects of our lives, how it activates us to a higher self. Before we get into my question about consciousness, right? Because I think it's important to really have a chat about whether or not we think it's a choice. Tell us about the monthly meditation class, also the Mouth of Money, and for you, your website, because this is where people can find out more about full spectrum living. Period. Right?
Yep. Start. It's time for us to all engage and play together.
Time. Yeah.
And I like playing. So, first of all, we have a monthly meditation. It is the Maya Whole Health Studio in Renton. It's the first Sunday of every month. It's our meditation, and it's not just meditation as like, let's just go be quiet. It's a healing. It's a guided meditation of healing and healing using the healing energies and the intuitive perspective that I have. And it's unique and individual each time because we have different people each time. So just some guided present time on how to do that. So if you want some group to join and do some meditation, come join me. I've also been posting some of those, recording them and posting some of those on my website, which is lynnmbrown.com. I have a lot of interactive stuff on my website. And Facebook page is Rawness of Life. That also has my events coming up. And if I try to post a lot of stuff that is on top of my mind, the things that I'm going through, the things that I'm seeing over the planet, both from the physical aspect and the spiritual aspect as a healer on my Facebook. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a fun place to be and get caught up on stuff. And then finally, I had the Abundance Takes Flight event a couple months ago now, and we have the films edited and in links. So on my community page, actually, if you go to abundancetakesflight.org, it'll take you straight to my community page on my website. And you can watch a preview there. But the content there is over 3 hours of stuff directly from the consciousness of money and directly from the elements of prosperity. This is information that is time to get out there for people to start considering, and start living into and maybe start using this information to leverage themselves in life. The donation, it's an option to donate. So I continue to donate all the proceeds back to Share Wheel to help our homeless brothers and sisters. And I just want to say that, this whole event was guided in certain parameters. And the reason I'm giving back to the homeless and the reason that I will continue to help the homeless moving forward in the new financial platform that I'm creating is because I was shown directly how we are a collective consciousness. And so if we're going to continue to raise our collective consciousness around money and prosperity and abundance, we can't let people get left behind, right? And so the homeless, I think, are in a state of survival. And so if I'm going to be the example of creating abundance for all, that's how I'm going to continue to live. Is I'm going to give people information to help them raise their consciousness and awareness around abundance and money and finance, winning at the game of money, and then we're going to continue to lift up the homeless community. So when they can get to a point where they can stand up and not be in survival mode anymore, then they can start on their spiritual journey. So if you want to go check that out, you can't watch it and not be transformed in some way. And then everything that you donate is going to go right to helping the homeless.
Well, and that's part of paying it forward. That's paid forward energy. And that paid forward energy is a healing energy as well.
Absolutely. Right? It's just a flow. It's a flow of abundance. And I just want to create as much of it as possible on the planet for everybody, through everybody. Mm-hmm. Through everybody. I want everybody to engage in this with me, just be a conduit of acceptance and receiving as much as possible, and we can just let it flow through us.
Awesome. All right. So when we're looking at healing and we're looking at this full spectrum, remember before the break, I was talking with you about the dynamics of consciousness and whether or not consciousness was like something that we had a choice about. Now, the reason I ask that question is it's because, okay, do I personally have a choice about whether or not I'm even going to contemplate a new level of consciousness? And that's kind of versus the consciousness of the greater collective. Does that make sense, Lynn?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to say that we have a choice, absolutely, but we're also going to kind of be pressured into the choice. Mm-hmm. Yep, that was the way to say it. So we have a clock running that's going to say, okay, we're walking down this road, and we always have free will. That's a universal truth. That's a spiritual known law. We have free will. So absolutely, you're going to continue to make the choices that you're going to make, and you're either going to actively start shifting into this higher level of consciousness, which is it's literally a new way of being. Your energy is just different. It's more peaceful. It's more flowy. It's more connected with your higher self. It's more abundant. Or you can continue like you just don't have any interest in that. Okay, so what happens if you choose that? From my perspective, the planet itself is raising its consciousness to the next level. Therefore, if you're on the planet, you're going to be forced into a decision. And you might decide, nope, this game really isn't for me, and I need to go do this somewhere else. Energetically, that's what I'm seeing, because the planet and the people who are wanting to raise the consciousness just, we're moving. We're moving, and we're moving too fast. We've gotten up steam, and the people that don't want to play with us anymore, I think, are just going to have to go start their own game somewhere else. I mean, that's honestly how I'm seeing it energetically. I'm seeing it in part of, people just choosing to exit the planet. They're just saying, I don't want to play this game anymore. And it's okay. It's not right or wrong. It's not I won or lost. It's your free will, right? So that's where you're saying, do I have a choice? Absolutely. From day one on our soul journey, we have free choice. And so, again, if we think and consider that we've participated in the soul journey since the beginning of existence, or even we've had how many past lives? 15, 100, 1,000 past lives? We're all in different phases. We're all in different stages of this healing and of this progression. And we all get to go at our own chosen pace. We really do. Yeah. That's what's neat. That's what's neat about this. And that's what's challenging about having to cohabitate on this planet. Because we all are at different places. But the people who are being conscious and who can really hold the love and light, we get to be an example for those who haven't experienced that yet, right? Like it's not tangible to them, but there's an energetic aspect. There's an energetic thing that happens when, like, if there's a catastrophe, right? And I choose to hold light and love, but I be in the center of that. Energetically or spiritually, others who are in that frantic state or in fear or in rage will notice. They'll pick up something and they'll go, oh, what's that? That feels warm. That feels nice. That feels loving. And so at least they can begin to acknowledge and learn from us. But if there aren't people holding that light, we don't change. So, yep, we have choices, but I think that we're being forced into some choices.
Yeah.
The timing of it.
And, exactly. And, here we are, Lynn. You and I are talking about this, and I want to dig a little deeper into this for a minute if we could. Of course, you're not going to mind. I know you.
No.
Listen, my family, and I've shared this on air, but not a lot, right? And I've been encouraged to write a book. I don't know why people want us to write a book about the disasters in our in our lives, but I have shared something with listeners over time, and I shared it again during another interview. And for me, when we talk about our family, we talk about lineage, and then we talk about not necessarily our blood family, but lineage could take on many different forms, right?
Yeah.
And there are some things that happen that could cause us some problems, right?
Absolutely.
Now, how do I know this? Well, I know from my own experience, but I don't think we have a good understanding of this, right?
Yeah.
I don't think we have a good understanding of those energies. Can you, does that have anything to do with anything when we look about family lineage? And, here's my question for you. What if I have a family member that is feeling anger or about a common issue, like my mother committed suicide? So what happens if there are family members, one of them may be in the healing, but maybe the rest are not?
Yeah. Well, again, for me, I keep going back to love. You let them have their journey, you let them have their time, and you hold space for them to do that. You don't judge, you don't push, you don't pull, you don't force, but you continually offer the aspect and the consciousness of love. You can literally put bubbles around them that they can soak in so that when they're ready to heal, they can do that for themselves. I think so many times, especially as parents and family, right? Man, we learn so much from our family. We get to grow so much with our family. I think, we know what's best. We know what's best for you. We know what's best for you. We know what's best for you. Why aren't you doing this yet? I'm the mother. You got to hurry up and do this. You got to be a lawyer. You got to be a doctor. And first of all, it's impeding on somebody's free will. But second of all, it doesn't help them, because the best thing that you can do is allow them their journey, retreat your energy back into your own space, focus on your healing, be the example of healing, and keep sending them love. Like literally, that's the answer. You keep sending them love, and just being there for them, loving them when they trip, loving them when they stumble. And I know that's a new concept, but energetically, what I see us doing so many times is infringing on somebody else's free will, and we really don't have the power to do that. We're just losing our energy. We're creating a friction there by telling somebody what they need to do when it's really all completely and totally about their own journey, their karma, their healing, when they're ready to do it. So holding space for somebody and continually holding space for them to heal is the best thing, I think. That's what I see as a healer.
Yeah. Lynn, when we think about full spectrum healing, and let's explain this a little bit, clearly if people go to your website, lynnmbrown.com, they're going to see some very colorful things. I think when we say the word full spectrum, each of us has a sense, right, of what that could mean. And we have a sense of color. We can literally see in our mind's eye when we say full spectrum, there it is. And so healing from that point of view makes sense. One of the things I was aware of in getting ready for the show today is, full spectrum pain. See? Because if we got the full spectrum healing, one of the things we don't pay enough attention to is the fact that pain, and pain, I just say pain, it encompasses a lot of things. But that pain, too, may have full spectrum, right?
Oh, absolutely. With what level of our being is it really coming from?
Yeah.
Yep. I actually have a really neat story
please
share. So so speaking of pain, so I had a boss a few years ago who, there was some familiarity with this person at a soul level. When I saw his eyes, I'm like, oh, I know this person. And at the time, I was already a healer. I already knew about past life stuff. So, anyways, I had a dream. I was like, well, reveal to me, higher self, reveal to me what is my connection with this person. So, I had a dream back in it was southeast Europe, somewhere, some rolling plains. I saw there was a log cabin that I lived at. I was riding a horse, and I had nice high riding boots, and my name was Elizabeth, and they called me Izzy, and I'm watching this little boy, right? And this little boy is like 3 years old, and he comes running around the log cabin, and he's chasing some roosters. Little boy chasing roosters, and he's just having the time of his life. And he looks up at me with his blonde hair and blue eyes, and he looks at me, and I'm like, oh, that's the boy. This is my connection. Okay, this boy in this dream, in this experience right now, is my son, and this is the man that I have familiarity with. Okay, so there's already a soul familiarity and connection. Now, what I watched next was hard. I started to cry, and I started to feel fear in my body in the dream, and I was like, okay, what's gonna happen here? And from behind the house, around the corner, two soldiers on horses with a red seat cover on horses, the horse blankets. They had a red, and they had some emblem on it. They came and they stabbed the little boy in the back with the sword. And I was probably, a half mile away up on a hilltop watching this happen. And it was devastating because in that moment I was the mother. And I was watching this little boy. And he got stabbed and he got taken away. And I knew in an instant it was the soldiers in that area killing all of the little boys because they didn't want them to grow up and rebel against them. So, under commandment of the leader of the current place, that's what they were doing. They were killing all boys. Okay, so fast forward to this lifetime. I knew because it was so clear to me in that dream, and I saw that connection. So I go up to my boss at the time, and I said, do you have a birthmark on your back right here? And he goes, he's like, I don't know. He goes, but I always, all of my life have had physical pain there, and nobody can figure out what it is.
Wow.
And 2 days later, he comes back and he says, I do have a birthmark there. It's like a mole-looking birthmark. Okay, so you can't make that story up, right?
No.
That's how deep this stuff runs. Okay, now back to the roosters. There are roosters in this grown man's office. There are porcelain roosters. Like, who collects roosters? This guy in the financial industry in a high-rise building, and he has roosters all over his office. So I shared this story with him. Part of him believed it. I'm sure part of him, most of them didn't, right? But it didn't matter to me. But I knew that connection, and I knew where that birthmark came through. It's from the scar of that infliction, of that pain, of that trauma. Now, that's just one instance in one life. Imagine us carrying that forward through all of our lifetimes. Anytime that we ran out of food, we couldn't find food in a past life. That is stored, and we starved to death, and that's stored in our root chakra, in our systems as pain, as fear, as struggle. So that definitely feeds through and impacts our belief systems about money and abundance now. What about the fears of survival just as surviving beings, right? When we were back, we had to survive the animals out there. We had to survive warfare. Yeah. So we have this inherent stored protection around us. We don't let people in. We don't trust. Now, these things didn't happen necessarily in this lifetime, but they are absolutely stored and ingrained inside our cellular structure, in our memories, in our spirit, right? Because it accumulates who we are. Now what's happening is these aspects aren't taking us anywhere anymore. Like these memories need to be extracted. Not the memory, but the emotion around it, the pain around it. And there are so many different levels. And now let's go add the level of our family lineage. You know, I have similar eyes to my mom. I have a similar face of my dad. I have a freckles where my dad has freckles. Well, why would it just stop at the physical level? We absolutely inherit and bring in those stories of survival and pain and struggle and trauma and starvation, creation, traits of trades that our family participated in. We absolutely bring those in because they are our spirit. You know, they are our mental body. And so many of the things that we're butting up against and stubbing into and running into in this lifetime, actually, as a healer, I would say 80% of them don't even have to do with this lifetime. Wow. They just need to be healed in this lifetime. It's time. It's time for them to be healed. That means it's time to be addressed. That means it's time to be acknowledged, and then dive in and do the healing. Mm-hmm. The best and the easiest way to do the healing is not keep beating yourself up about it. It's to turn and infuse yourself with love. If you're lacking, right? If you're lacking confidence because of something that happened in any of your lifetimes, in any of your family lineages, in any of the dimensions that you're participating in life, fill it with the ingredient that you need. Fill it with certainty. Right? Start infusing yourself. You don't even need to know where it's going. Just start infusing yourself. Start caring for yourself. Start giving yourself gratitude, forgiveness, love, appreciation. Appreciate your body for what it's got you through and what it's taken you through. You know, give it safety. Oh my gosh, give it safety. So much abundance will open up for you. So it's really multidimensional, and that's why I say full spectrum healing. Yeah. You know, just the other day I did a healing with a gentleman. He does one of the radio shows here, and we did a healing. And right off the bat, I was just getting pictures of Atlantis. And I didn't know this about him. So I was getting pictures about Atlantis and the flood and how he got wrapped up in this huge, 200-foot tidal wave in Atlantis. And he was holding onto the book, and he was the bookkeeper. He was the storykeeper. So he got saved. And he was beating himself up that hundreds of thousands of people around him that he loved and cared about lost their lives. And he didn't feel worthy. He didn't understand why did I get to survive and everybody else didn't, right? And so that feeling of, well, I just only want what I absolutely need, and I don't want any more. I want to deflect everything else that's coming to me, because of that worthiness. And to this day, he says that when he leaves his property and goes down into a valley, he looks over his shoulder because he feels like there's a tidal wave coming. Oh, wow. So it's real. It stores itself, those fears, or even like my husband is afraid of heights, but he hasn't been afraid of heights all his life. He just woke up one day and was afraid of heights. Well, it's that, at age 24 in a past lifetime, he probably fell off a building and died. So there's this inherent, trigger in yourself. So a lot of this stuff, be gentle with yourself. That's that's the point of this too, is be gentle with yourself and just go in and start giving yourself love and gratitude.
Well, I mean, this is what you're talking about, is being able to do this in a way that really gets at the root of things. And that's why people work with you, Lynn, because I don't know about you, I can't do it for myself. How can people find out more? How can they work with you directly? And thank you for a great show today.
Mm-hmm. You can just contact me at Lynn at INTOIT.com. You can call me. My cell phone number is 206-931-7356. And, I start out with 1-hour sessions with people, and we just go from there. And we really get into this stuff, because my job, which I love here on the planet, is just helping people to heal and step into more of their higher self and their ultimate potential. So
I love it. And for those of you out there, you can find out more about Lynn real easy. Lynn, LYNNM, Brown.com. Hey, everybody. Hey, Lynn. Good job. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Lights go out and I can't be saved. Tides that I tried to swim against brought me down upon my knees. Oh, I beg and plead,
preceding audio was via a Skype call.